on the jammer line for Port Tortured. And Ole Rollers fielding Mad Medic.
Mad Medic seeing a lot of jam time in previous games. Zonin doing great pretty much at all positions, whether it's blocker, pivot, or jammer, as we see here. A familiar smile under the stripe of the girls in white. Psychobabble up front, isn't it?
It sure is. She's going to be playing pivot in this jam to start off with. And over on the Port Tortured side, D-Bomb in the pivot position.
Has to be one of the most recognizable smiles in all of Derby because it's slightly psychotic.
Well, hitting people makes her smile.
It does.
So I imagine she's going to be smiling a lot in this one.
In a moment, we'll get into how these two teams got here, but right now, Mad Medic down to the ground on the inside, turn two. Mad Medic trying to get some help through the pack, finds a little bit of it, but still no advantage. Zone of the Barbarian recycled all the way back, and now Mad Medic finds her way through for Ole, has control of the jam.
And there goes D-Bomb in pursuit. But Mad Medic has such a head start here with Ole in control of this jam. She's going to go for a few points here and call it. Was that 3 or 4?
Looks like 2 each.
Wow. Picked up 2 and allowed 2. D-Bomb was a little bit closer than I thought.
So both teams able to put scores on the board immediately. And Port Tortured very excited about this.
Lindsay low blow at the shore grip jammer line for Ole.
She's facing off.
That's Little Mean Sunshine.
Correct you are. Lindsay low blow. Quickly through in the back straightaway to take control for Ole. B&B trying to force her way through to activate as the pivot, but held and recycled back all the way past all of Ole's players.
Nice hit put on there from L'Accelerator. Out of the pack now. And that's good for 5 points. Ole now takes the lead, 7-2.
Ole looking very confident.
Lindsay Lolo with about 20 feet to go to get to the back of the pack here, and now the pivot's out.
B&B for Port Tortured.
That's going to do it for this jam. Picking up 5 more.
So 2-12 as Ole favored to win this game. Either way, something that we mentioned before, in case you didn't catch the earlier one, was our broadcast partner, Bangers and Smash, mentioned that no matter what, everybody who wins is from Washington State.
Yep. This year will be the year of the Washington sweep in USARS. And Mad Medic makes her way out of the pack first, gets control of the jam for Ole. Bashley Blaze still stuck at the back of the pack. Pivot Red Ranger not able to get out of the pack just yet. She's meeting a lot of resistance from Tonka.
Psychobabble conducting her side, goes back to the back to help out her jammer, and it pays off as Mad Medic able to find a path through and pick up a grand slam.
Meanwhile, Port Tortured has 2 blockers in the box. So pack advantage here for Ole.
Major pack advantage of that, as Ole doesn't have anybody in the penalty box. Swiftly moves through, picks up another 5 points, and calls off the jam, bringing this one 22-2.
Tally Wacker takes the shore grip jammer line for Port Tortured. And for the Ole Rollers, we've got L'Accelerator.
Ole in the white. Port Tortured in the neon green. Jerseys that they probably borrowed from the Tulsa men's team.
It certainly looks like, well, when I saw all the green, at first I thought Tulsa had suited up again.
Very fast move for Ole as they take control once again.
D-Bomb's having a hard time getting past Tannibal Lecter right now, and Sassy doing a double team. So D-Bomb not able to break the pack here to answer with any points.
Grand slam. And L'Accelerator, this is one of those players that couldn't have played just a year ago.
One of those that's moved up from the youth division.
Correct.
She's going to call this one off. D-Bomb finally makes her way out of the pack, but this one's over. So we'll have new skates on the track.
Lining up, looks like Knuckleberry Finn. Nope. No, I think it's One Smart Cookie and Little Bean Sunshine. One Smart Cookie for Ole. Sunshine for Port Tortured. Cookie. Getting crumbled there by Blonde and Mitchin.
One Smart Cookie now declared in control of this jam. Ole once again in control. Here's an opportunity for Wicked Slam, and she becomes active scorer. But One Smart Cookie appears to be outpacing her just a bit and is much closer to the pack. Much better scoring position here as she makes her way up through the center. That looks like a full 4 points.
This crowd, especially after that last game, just super emotional, super into this. They're really expressing a tremendous. You could taste the excitement in the air tonight.
The crowd could actually be heard from the street. I mean, that's saying something. It got loud in here. Jessica takes the jammer line for Port Tortured. Mad Medic for Ole. Mad Medic on the outside. Takes control of the jam for Ole. Jessica tied up in the pack, so is pivot number 828, Zonan.
Zonan the Barbarian blasting up against L'Accelerator.
Mad Medic picks up 5 more.
So far a very one-sided affair for Ole, other than the very first jam.
Right. Ole being very effective at containing both the pivot and the jammer here. Port Tortured not able to answer back with some offense of their own. 5 more to the Ole Rollers, bringing them to 41. Port Tortured sits at 2.
So at this point, if you're Port Tortured's coach, it seems as though you might want to focus more one way or another to be really effective at either offense or defense.
Well, we've seen some teams try and skew their strategy towards one or the other, and it just doesn't work. You got to be able to multitask, and that's just something and plus, I mean, you're playing Ole. So I think Port Tortured has realistic expectations coming into this thing that this is going to be a learning experience, and just glad to be in the championship game.
Well, but if you do focus on one or the other, if you try to say, okay, this is what we're going to do. We're going to work on getting our jammer out because we can't. Or you focus defensively. We're going to work on holding back Ole's jammer.
Well, right now they're not doing that. Ole's jammer now out of the pack. Danny Disaster has control of this jam for Ole. Pivots in the back. One thing I would recommend, I think, is the pivot needs a buddy, and the pivot's got to stay up front. You need somebody to basically be the pivot's bodyguard. So because I would say it would be a realistic expectation here that Ole's going to control most of these jams, so you've got to rely on your pivot more here.
Well, somebody they have been able to rely on is Blondin Bitchin, who just put a hard butt and then does it again, a big hip into Dainty Disaster.
3 more points for Ole in that jam, bringing them to 44, and 10 minutes or so has been eaten off the clock here in the first half. We'd like to thank Roller Bones Wheels and Bones Bearings. They make for a winning combination, and there's a lot of skaters on the track right now using just that combination.
2-44 with Ole in the lead. Little Bean Sunshine and One Smart Cookie. Sunshine for Port Torture. Cookie for Ole. No one sits in the penalty box, and this has been an extremely clean game so far, Miller Joe.
Yes, it has. Both of these teams have been very light on penalties throughout the weekend. And One Smart Cookie now controls this jam for Ole. Little Mean Sunshine finding her way through the pack. Found a path through the outside, but still has to get around Sassy. Sassy bumps her to the inside and picks up a penalty. Going to go to the box. One Smart Cookie's going to call this one off. Didn't pick up any points and didn't allow any, but Little Mean Sunshine was gaining some ground there.
And you can see the smile on her face as she was happy about being able to make it through the Ole pack. They put pressure. Accelerator and Zone N, the Barbarian.
They're at the Shore Grip Jammer line. Shore Grip, the maker of roller skates, wheels, and plates, 75 years strong.
Accelerator, a little bit of a head start, but I was about to say she gets caught in the pack, but she doesn't. She glides, narrowly avoids a hit from the pivot of Port Tortured, and takes control of the jam.
Track cut's going to send Blasian Invasion to the penalty box. So now Ole down 2 players in the box.
Wicked Slam has activated. Puts pressure on, but still 3 more unanswered points to the side of Ole Rollers.
And now we got some fresh skates on the track. Snicker Brutal, the jammer for the Ole Rollers. Evil Geneval, number 70 for Port Tortured. Tannibal Lecter knocks Geneval inside the track. So she's going to have to work her way back through. Snicker Brutal so far being effectively contained by these 2 and 3 walls. It's kind of fluid at the moment.
Wow, Evil Geneval finding her way through and takes control, but Snickerdoodle real tight on those skates and forces Geneval to call off the jam.
Snicker Brutal called that one off just in time. That inside lane will get you every time. Except that one.
Right. and it was Evil Geneval that called it off.
Yes, that's what I meant.
Mad Medic and Bashley Blaze take the Shore Grip Jammer line.
Yes, and it's Snicker Brutal, not Snicker Doodle.
Mistakes all around up here, but not many down there.
No.
As both of these teams still playing very solidly, despite Ole really playing a very consistent game and having complete control of this. Oh, here we go. Bashley Blaze in control as some of Ole gets too far ahead of the pack. Ole going to try to recycle her back.
Now the pack, though, being redefined back up front.
It's Lindsay Lowblow and Psycho Babel leading the pack. A lot of confidence. You look, especially look at Lindsay Lowblow, number 52 up front. Tremendous confidence. Something that's always been a solid mark of Ole or any championship team.
Yeah, that's very true. You have to play with a lot of confidence, but you also can't ever underestimate your opponents.
We saw some of that.
Yeah, sometimes I think champions can at times underestimate their opponents, and I think we saw some of that earlier today. But
we saw some of that yesterday as well, as a team really underestimated one of their opponents, even admittedly so. It almost cost them, but they were able to come back and eventually place third. That was Antagonist.
Antagonist with a very strong showing this weekend. And that's a team that's about 50-50 youth skaters and adult skaters. It was basically created to demonstrate that it is safe for the youth players to play with the adults, and they have proven not only is it safe, it's effective.
Yes, very effective. 47-2, Ole Warriors. Port Tortured, has actually been very effective in these past few jams in containing some of Ole's offense.
Yeah. I mean, we've seen Ole take on opponents and have a much higher score at this point into the game. So they're doing a decent job at mitigating some of this Ole juggernaut here.
Ole's 2 games. First one saw a shutout, 3-10-0 against Tall City, and then 124-18 against Antagonist to get them here. Ole in control again. Dainty Disaster. B&B.
Yep. Right on her heels. Forces her to call it off.
And see, this is what we were talking about. Port Tortured, okay, so they're trailing by 45. But they have stopped the scoring of Ole for a few jams now.
Yeah, I think we're going back to what we were talking about earlier. If you're going to focus on one thing, I think that's probably your best bet as Port Tortured is maybe try and focus on limiting the amount of points that Ole's going to score and try and keep that score as close as possible that way. Maybe lean a little more defensively minded because
well, now hopefully the idea is you get into a groove that is workable, that your team knows can be done solidly, and then you add offense back into it. So you stop Ole from scoring, get comfortable with that, and then you start working on getting your own jammer out to score.
One smart cookie trying to get past Pivot D-Bomb. Having a rough time trying to get through here. Zonin at the back of the pack. Both jammers at the back. We've had about 40 seconds lapse in this jam so far, and still no active score declared. A lot of defensive work from both teams here. Here may be a window of opportunity coming out of turn 4.
Window closed, though, as we go back into the laps.
Zonin.
Oh. Has control. Zonin the Barbarian. Now neither person is in position, but Ole is just going to run away. Ole with an active pack defense. They're actually going to catch Zonin the Barbarian and force her to call off the jam.
So that'll do it for this one.
Port Tortured started off with an extremely close game against Port City, 70-75, with Port City being their own undoing, mostly penalty trouble that cost them that one. But Port Tortured, as we've mentioned several times this weekend, playing very consistently. In their next game, that consistency proved to be an extreme asset as they were able to beat the host league Tulsa 101-26.
Yeah, Port Tortured has had a very consistent weekend. I'll agree with you 100% there. Mad Medic also very consistent this weekend as she gets control of this jam for Ole.
A track cut called on one of Ole's blockers.
Blonde and Bitchin, meanwhile, gets out of the pack and is going to activate to try and put some pressure on Ole here. But Mad Medic's already back at the pack and has passed 4 skaters there.
Ole now losing another player to the penalty box. So 2 blockers. L'Accelerator is one.
Oh, that's going to be no points on that. My vantage point was it betrayed me. From this angle, it looked like she had passed a couple of them, but do apologize there.
No apologies. Sometimes we see things the refs can't. Sometimes we see things that are wrong from where we're at. Wrong, we're wrong.
Right. Little Mean Sunshine, number 5 for Port Tortured, going up against Snickerbrudel, number 89 for Ole.
Coming up, Little Mean Sunshine takes control, gets past Psychobabble, and now she goes. Psychobabble in pursuit as she activates as the pivot. Psychobabble with a lock on Little Mean Sunshine, but Sunshine with some speed under her skates herself. Sunshine quickly calls off the jam, and he points on either side. No. So this is really amazing because Ole hasn't scored in a dozen jams.
Yeah, it's been several jams now, and Port Tortured is effectively shutting them down, but not able to put any points of their own on the board.
Well, a defensive victory right now is a huge victory as Port Tortured are very big underdogs in this contest and showing that you cannot underestimate them in this championship game.
Tana Belector takes control of this jam for the Ole Rollers. We've seen her a lot as pivot, but in this particular jam, she is the jammer. Both jammers on their scoring run.
Jessica trying to put some heat on, and now Ole picks up some points. 4 to the score, taking their score to 51. But what a battle it's been for Ole, who have had tremendous pressure and some great defensive work on the part of Port Tortured to contain this.
Yeah, I was expecting the score to be a little bit farther apart at this point, actually, if I'm going to be perfectly honest about it. But I've been wrong a lot this weekend, so.
Well, that's true. We've been surprised quite a lot. Yeah. I was stunned in the last game. I was just convinced that was going to end in another forfeit.
Well, I think I'm guilty of having underestimated Port Tortured several times this weekend, and but right now they're hanging in there.
And we thought their game against Tulsa would be a much closer affair, and they were able to put
dominant.
together. Absolutely dominant.
L'Accelerator controls this one.
But B&B right on her heels forces her to call it off.
So in the last 18 jams, the score has been 4-0.
Lindsay Lowblow taking the line for the second time up against Diva Stater, who dons the jammer panty on for the first time in this game.
Number 52,
Lindsay Lowblow looking for a path on the outside for Ole.
Actually, it's not Diva Stater. It's Little Mean Sunshine, who has jammed before. Lindsay Lowblow in control. So far, Port Tortured unable to get their jammer or their pivot out. Now their pivot gets some speed underneath her.
That looks like Jessica.
I think that is Diva Stater.
Oh, there you go. Yes, it is. Didn't get a good look at the number as she whizzed by.
Evil, Geneval, and Mad Medic. We saw in that shutout that Ole posted against Tall City, Mad Medic was one of the such a go-to jammer in that game. They've kind of pulled back off of that in their game against Antagonist and this one, but still very talented jammer. As she goes to the penalty box. Down, announcer Karma. Look how good that jammer is as she goes to the penalty box. Opportunity here now for Port Tortured, although not a power jam.
You know, their pivot's in a decent position here, and I'm curious as to why they're not utilizing that right now.
Well, they can't do anything yet because there's no active score. Port Tortured has to get their jammer out.
Oh, gotcha.
Goes to the outside. Evil Geneval activates, and now the pivot can move. And that pivot is Psychobabble. Very fast. And there's the classic smile on Psychobabble. And some great show of sportsmanship as well.
Yeah, she's always a great sport. She makes the game fun regardless of what the scoreboard says. Lindsay Loblow back at the Sure Grip jammer line.
She's going to face off against Zonan the Barbarian.
Minutes left in the first period. Score 55-2. Ole in the lead. Number 828, Zonan the Barbarian. Around the outside, Reanimator in position.
On the outside, Zonan. Lindsay Loblow keen just to draft off of Zonan for a moment to see where that goes. Now she tries to make an open path on the outside to the inside. Will she avoid the track cut? She does and is awarded control.
Lead active scorer to Ole. Zonan the Barbarian, the jammer for Port Orchard at the rear of the
Zonan recycled back all the way to the back. Only one blocker, a blocker for Ole, sits in the penalty box, so both pivots in play here. Little Bean Sunshine with some help from Brawliana activates for Port Tortured, but not soon enough as Lindsay Loblow picks up a grand slam.
Wicked Slam this time going to jam for Port Tortured. We saw her quite a bit as pivot through the weekend. Going up against Psychobabble.
Two people we don't often see jam. This should be an interesting jam. Both of these players usually play pivot or blocker.
Psychobabble with a path on the inside. Gets control of this jam for Ole. Wicked Slam still at the back of the pack. D-Bomb, the pivot, gets swallowed back to the back.
B&B being sent to the penalty box as a blocker for Port Tortured. That's a big loss in this jam.
Wicked Slam, though, was able to get out to activate, but not in time to stop Ole from picking up 4 more points.
So this is interesting. Port Tortured already going pretty deep into their roster rotation for jammer. We're underneath the 2-minute mark.
In the first half.
Right. Accelerator up against Wicked Slam. No, it's not. It's Red Ranger. Or Red Rager, I believe.
Ranger. There was a correction yesterday. I think the scoreboard is displaying that inaccurately.
We'll find out for sure in a moment. I was thinking the correction was to what the scoreboard says, but either way. So less than a minute left in the first half of this women's championship.
2 more points for Ole in that last jam, bringing them to 66.
3 more points.
Yeah, make that 3.
67-2 is the score, with Ole ahead, and this will likely be the last jam of the first half. Mad Medic for Ole, and Devastator for Port Torture. Nope. That's Zonin.
Mad Medic out of the pack to take control of this jam.
So Zonin, the pivot for Port Tortured. It's recycled back. Devastator up against a solid 3 wall. Technically, it's a 2 wall that's reinforced up ahead by the pivot psychobabble.
Mad Medic takes a spill twice now in turns 1 and 2.
She decides to go ahead and call it off.
Yeah, they were making her work too hard for that. She'll just take those 4 and add them to the score.
Go to the locker room with them. That's going to be halftime with the score Port Tortured 2, Ole Rollers 70. The Ole Rollers look solidly in position to take the Seltzer Cup, but what can Port Tortured do to change their game plan? They looked very good through the middle of the first half.
Yeah, it's like something clicked about halfway through this first half, and Port Tortured started to see what few weaknesses exist in Ole's defense and offense, and trying to just slow them down quite a bit. And they have done that because we kind of anticipated a little bit bigger gap in the score here. So Port Tortured being very effective at slowing Ole down.
Well, at halftime, they'll be able to talk about what they did right and hopefully accentuate that and become a little more competitive here in the second half. But right now, it's been pretty much all Ole as we go to the half. You've been watching the Women's Championship game here live in Tulsa, Oklahoma at the 2013 USARS National Championships from the Cox Business Center. Stick around here on DerbyNewsNetwork.com. We'll be back in about 9 minutes. The joy of Derby fills the air as we have another round of Championship Derby underway, or about to be anyway. I'm Late Night Lyle, along with Mellow Joe, bringing you what is the final half of what has been a stellar weekend.
Certainly has. Zonin taking the jammer line for Port Tortured, and I didn't catch the Ole skater. They're so fast.
They are.
That's number 89. Snickerbrutal already with control of this jam. They all take that low stance. Both pretty much the whole jammer rotation for both teams take a very low stance, and we're having difficulty reading the back of their jerseys as they approach the jammer line. So I do apologize for that, but must compliment their great form.
B&B, who's arguably the top player for Port Tortured, also that very low speed skater stance.
51-50, Mad Medic takes the short grip jammer line for the Ole Rollers, and she'll be going skate to skate with Bashley Blaze of Port Tortured. If you're just joining us, Port Tortured is in the bright green and Ole in white.
It was Ole, the Ole Warriors, who won the men's championship against Your Mom, and that one coming down to the final jam in a very hair-raising nail-biter. Actually, the last 18 minutes was a nail-biter.
Right, yeah. I mean, it was an incredible bout.
Ole dropping a pair of blockers to the penalty box.
It looks like Reanimator and team captain number 3, Little Tonka.
4 more to the score unanswered for Ole, bringing it 78-2.
I really like Reanimator's tattoos.
Yes.
I don't know if anybody's mentioned that this weekend, but I think she has some awesome ink. It is just top notch.
We'll point it out again in a moment. And a lot of times she's got I don't think the camera can really see it now, but she's got a huge neck tattoo, and she wears it well.
Yeah. I don't think everybody could pull that off, but it certainly suits her. Lindsay Loblow tries to find a path on the outside for the Ole Rollers. Tally Wacker, number 247, though, out of the pack first and takes control of this one for Port Tortured. And look at this, Port Tortured able to contain both the jammer and the pivot right now.
Whatever they were talking about in the locker room, whatever they saw that was effective, they have indeed started to use it. As Ole still unable to get an active scorer out.
Little Mean Sunshine was doing a good job holding back Lindsay Loblow, but now Lindsay Loblow escapes. But Port Tortured going to pick up some points here.
Port Tortured.
How many is it going to be?
Well, she already picked up some. She's going to go ahead and call off the jam, and only 2.
One of those, the ghost point for the blocker that was in the box.
Look at this.
But great sportsmanship here between these two teams.
Tallywhacker and Psycho Babel hugging each other as they go back to their benches. Ole just so appreciative of Port Tortured's battle. Their warrior spirit, if you will. Mad Medic and Diva Stater.
On the outside, Mad Medic finds a path, but she's waiting for Tannibal Lecter to get into position and hold back that pivot.
Oh, but B&B unable as she activates.
So Mad Medic still with a good head start here, but B&B is catching up. Mad Medic at the back of the pack now. Plows through the center and calls it off. I think she picked up 3 there. Yes, it's 3, but allows 1. So Blonde and Bitchin adds 1 more to the score for Port Tortured. They'll take those points any way they can get them.
Absolutely. 5-81. As Zonin the Barbarian heads to the line up against Snickerbrutal.
You know, we've seen a lot of the skaters this weekend wearing Derby Skins. Derby Skins apparel is 100% manufactured in the USA because American-made matters. Stop by Derby Skins online at derbyskins.com.
More and more teams' uniforms supplied by Derby Skins. Remember, if you look for them online, spell it with a Z at the end. Snickerbrutal getting, she looks like a ping pong ball, or not a pinball, bouncing around in there, but finally bounces out of the pack and takes control. Little Mean Sunshine, slow to get up on the inside of the front straightaway, but she's okay as Ole sends their captain, Little Tonka, back to the penalty box. There's not a lot of penalties on either side, but quite a bit more penalties for Ole than there are for Port Tortured.
Yeah, you wouldn't necessarily expect that. I got kind of a view of the penalty board here, and it looks about even, but I don't have a great vantage point on it.
Maybe it's just my perception. Maybe it is more even than
probably.
It seems like
probably not used to seeing Ole go into the box this much, though.
True.
That's probably why it seems like they're doing it more, just because they typically skate so clean. Accelerator getting pushed around, squeaks through on the outside lane, and then finds another lane on the inside to take control of this jam for Ole.
Ashley Blaze gets nailed outside by Sassy. It was a hard hip check. I felt that one.
Look at Sassy now.
Wow. Grand slam for Lexcelerator. Sassy playing almost more like a pivot as Ole's pivot Tannibal trapped.
Yeah, throughout that jam, Tannibal and Sassy working in tandem, along with Lindsay Lowblow. The three of them kind of just dominating the front of the pack through that. Those three, I think, all deserve equal credit on containing Port Tortured on that one.
Mad Medic up against Diva Stater. Mad Medic and Diva Stater, neither one having any advantage so far.
To the outside goes Mad Medic to get control of this one for Ole once again. Psychobabble turns around to scope out the pack.
It is the pivot in pursuit as Red able to activate and put some pressure on Mad Medic.
Look at that. Red bursts her way up through the inside, but she's still got a two-wall here. Psychobabble and straddles. That's Echo.
She was looking, and I don't know if she didn't pick up a penalty.
I thought I heard a whistle there, but
I did. Somebody is supposed to. Okay, here we go. It's
that's
Brawley Ann. Blocker for Port Tortured. She goes to the penalty box. 2 points for Port Tortured as they bring their score to 7.
Their score may not be very high, but they've earned every one of those points. They've had to work real hard for those. I think any points you score on Ole, you can wear as a great badge of pride.
Zone in the Barbarian, lining up unopposed on the Sure Grip jam line. Ole 3 points away from the century mark. No power jam in play as Ole still can use their pivot as a scorer, but only once Port Tortured activates a score of their own. Zonin gets pushed wide to the outside of the back straightaway, has to recycle to the back, still no scorer in play. B&B trying to break up some walls, but can't open up a hole to help her teammate Zonin.
Meanwhile, Mad Medic just released from the box and quickly making her way through this pack as well. Look at this. She may still control. Oh. Zonin calls it off just in the nick of time.
Soon as she was given it.
She was pretty spot on with that. I didn't know if she was able to catch her out of the corner of her eye there, but apparently she was. We got a little track cleanup. John Faljohn demonstrating proper mop techniques.
We're going to have an official timeout, as it's going to take longer than...
Official timeout call.
If you need your kitchen clean, John Faljohn can be reached for mopping duties.
Okay, looks like we're about to get back in it now as the mop is set to the side. Bashley Blaze at the Sure Grip jam line for Port Tortured. And that's Chica Chula now jamming for the Ole Rollers.
Psychobabble, the pivot for Ole. It is...
That's number 8, D-Bomb, is the pivot for Port Tortured.
D-Bomb really, we talk about Blonde and bitching about her power as a pivot, but D-Bomb has been an unsung hero of Port Tortured. She's really had a lot of great hits, and once again, I'm going to talk highly of somebody, and they're immediately going to go to the penalty box.
Well, she got a directional play penalty, kind of stopped there out of bounds, trying to recycle back in the pack to avoid a track cut. So it's kind of 6 of one, half dozen of another there. Unable to avoid a penalty either way. Chica Chula picked up 4 points and calls off the jam. The Ole Rollers now past the century mark, 101-7. 18 minutes remain in this game. I'd like to thank our textcasters helping out with coverage here on Derby News Network. Mama Tempest, Kilmore Girls, Mazel Tov Cocktail, and Joe Simonis. Thank you so much for helping out throughout the weekend. The video is brought to you by Todd Bradley and Mark Shinar of Exploding Corpse Productions on behalf of Derby News Network. A lot of people come together to make these events happen, and we appreciate everyone who helped out this weekend.
We've also had a lot of great announcers who have helped us throughout this weekend bring you this coverage, including Bulldog, who has helped out.
A name our fans will know.
Bangers and Smash, who has climbed up the announcing pole very quickly recently, and a solid announcer. And, of course, one of Tulsa's own, the Zipper Spark, who has been helping us both on camera and off and with our interviews.
Yeah, Zipper Spark, I want to give her a special thanks as someone affiliated with Tulsa. She's gone out of her way to make everyone feel at home here, as has the whole Tulsa Derby League, who also deserve a big thanks. 5 more points right now for the Ole Rollers. Or make that 10-point jam there.
111-7 is the score at the moment as we get a little closer to the fourth quarter, excuse me. About 16 and a half minutes left on the period clock as Lindsay Loblow will face off against Tallywhacker.
We've got Psycho Babel as the pivot for Ole. And that looks like B&B, I believe, as the pivot for Port Torture.
Lindsay Loblow only has Blonde to get past, and nice, very quick hit by Blonde and Bitchin and then slows all the way down. Great track awareness, but she goes to the penalty box. I'm going to stop talking about the skaters. Because if I talk good about the skaters, they go to the penalty box.
I mean, you're 3 for 3 of the last compliment.
I know.
For those keeping score at home, Lindsay Loblow. Let's see if I can dodge the bullet here. Lindsay Loblow, an excellent jammer, and makes this look easy as she goes to the inside, jukes to the outside, and picks up 5 more points for the Ole Rollers. Calls this one off. I guess the curse of the announcer karma is not affecting me so bad.
No. No. It's only me.
Now we've got Bashley Blaze at the short grip jammer line against Mad Medic for Ole, number 5150. If you're just joining the coverage here, Ole's in white and Port Tortured in green.
Snicker Brutal, the pivot for Ole. Port Tortured's pivot. B&B sits in the penalty box. And Ole in control. Mad Medic forces her way through on the inside line. It's been a really a roller coaster weekend. We're seeing teams adapt to the USARS rule set this year a lot more,
right,
than they had last year.
We've seen some teams that return doing even better at this rule set.
And, Mad Medic with a track cut, going to send her to the penalty box, along with a couple of other players.
Now we got a penalty party right now. Not too many skates left on the track at the moment, but right now Port Torture taking advantage. And this jam is squarely in the control of Blonde and Bitchin and Port Torture.
Power jam as well, as Port Torture trying to contain Ole and slow the pack down to pick up some points. B&B.
D-Bomb's doing an excellent job containing Echo right now, and that's keeping Ole from being able to deploy that runaway strategy.
Waiting for the call to see how many points it was. By our view, it should be a grand slam. Some clarification
in the center
as the jam ref tries to figure out how many points Blonde was able to score, and we're going to have an official timeout to figure it out. So this official timeout, likely just to try to figure out how many points she picked up there. Nolan Joe.
You know, Fast Girl Skates has a lot of awesome products, knowledgeable staff, and they know every style of roller derby. It is a big umbrella in the sport, and they can relate to what you need regardless of what part of that derby umbrella you fall under. We're all a big family here. Largest selection on skates and gear for everyone, men, women, juniors, you name it, you can get it at Fast Girl Skates. Check them out online, www.fastgirlskates.com.
What was your favorite moment from the weekend?
Well, I don't know if it's just so fresh, but I think my vote would have to go to the men's championship game between Ole and your mom men's derby. It was just an instant classic. So I hate to dwell on that game so much, but it was intense. My heart was racing.
Oh, mine too.
I don't think you can understate how awesome that was. If you missed that, you really missed out. Hopefully, you'll be able to order the DVD of that because it is worth owning.
It was tense enough that caused my voice to go full Vince McMahon for a moment, as I mentioned during the broadcast. I've been very impressed with not only how these teams have adapted, but how some of the juniors who have come up to play have been so you wouldn't know unless you saw them or knew how old some of them were. You wouldn't know that.
Yeah, I'd say that probably aside from the obvious, the men's championship game, probably one of the biggest highlights of the weekend. That juniors exhibition earlier today was really great. That was just some good roller derby.
This makes me so excited for the future of roller derby worldwide.
And it looks like our official timeout's drawing to a close here. Zonin going to be the jammer on this one for Port Tortured, and Mad Medic sits in the penalty box for Ole. But they still have Psychobabble as pivot. They'll have to try and contain her before.
Psychobabble dealing with something. I don't know if it almost looked like she needed to sneeze or was having some issue. Whatever it is, it appears as though she's cleared it up.
Yeah, she's back to smiling again. You can spot that smile from outer space.
Psychobabble in pursuit and forces Zonin to call it off. She trips her right at the very end.
They have a good laugh out of it, too. I really enjoy watching the sportsmanship amongst these competitors this weekend. I've seen a lot of great camaraderie between opponents, and we've seen quite a bit of it in this game in particular.
Having a great deal of fun, and hopefully our audience has throughout the weekend as well.
I know I've certainly enjoyed being a part of this tournament, and
I'm not sure what's going on here. One of Port Tortured's players, that D-Bomb,
looks like she's clutching her shoulder or maybe her wrist.
Well, she looks like she's in a lot of pain. We'll find out more about that in just a moment. In the meantime, Ole Rollers with a grand slam. Snickerbrudel, owner of those points. Tallywhacker avoiding a track cut but still unable to get on her initial pass. No one sits in the penalty box.
And 5 more to the score of the Ole Rollers as Snicker Brutal is being quite brutal at the moment.
Indeed.
10 points so far. Going to try and make it 15. Nice spin move on the inside. Very graceful. And 5 more to the score of the Ole Rollers as Snicker Brutal makes this a 15-point jam. We could see possibly a 20-point jam. Not seen a lot of those this weekend, but
no, we haven't.
Here's the potential for one right now.
I will say that D-Bomb has returned to the bench. She's still kind of holding that arm a little bit, so I don't know if it was a cramp of some kind, but we'll likely see her play in the next one.
That look on her face definitely said it was not a pleasant feeling, whatever was going on there. But
19-point jam for Snicker Brutal. Most points scored in any one jam today.
Because there was no injury time out there, the 10-minute rule does not apply, so if she does feel like getting back into the fray within the next 10 minutes.
Well, she's in the fray now.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah, she's on the track.
That's good because they would have put her out basically for the rest of the game as we're at the 10-minute mark now.
Right.
So glad to see that's okay. I always hate to see that look on anyone's face because, it is a full contact sport. But
and we did have an injury on day one where a player, Nacho Mama for Merced, broke her tibia.
Yeah.
In the Derby community, absolutely amazing.
Yeah, Derby community quick to react and started a collection online for her almost immediately. And
online and here locally.
Yeah. That's one of the great things about this sport is everyone involved is just like a huge family.
They were able to get her a plane ticket and fly her home for surgery. That was done. We mentioned it. I think it was just a few minutes, and it was funded.
That's wonderful because she drove 36 hours to get here.
Right.
And the plan was to drive back, and obviously those plans changed with the broken shin bone. Number 8, D-Bomb, heading to the penalty box right now.
She'll be able to rest that arm. She is still holding it. It looks like the shoulder that she hurt in some way.
If I had to guess, I'd say it's probably a lingering injury that's been re-aggravated because there wasn't any contact when it started to flare up there.
Yeah, she was standing. It was the beginning. There wasn't even an active jam going. She was just standing, getting ready for the jam to start.
Eight minutes left in this game. 8 minutes left in this tournament. I just don't want it to end.
I know. Zona the Barbarian. And I believe Snicker Brutal. It is. Thank you, Snicker Brutal. I wasn't sure, so she turned it back to me.
Oh.
Yes.
I'm glad that worked out for you.
Yep.
Zonin at the back of the pack gets tied up.
B&B out and in pursuit as the pivot activates for Port Tortured. (140-11). Ole firmly in the lead, but this has been a lot more about Port Tortured being able to control Ole and limit that scoring. Only we saw them again in their opening game post 310 completely unanswered points. And here 143-11. Port Tortured defensively with a lot to be proud of.
Certainly, they've had a pretty good showing here, and they've limited Ole to half the points of their first game. Or at least they're on pace to be about that level. Accelerator takes control of this jam for Ole. Bashley Blaze takes activation here to apply the pressure to Ole.
Oh, a nice little hop, apex jump on 2, and she picks up a quick 4.
The way that her legs kind of sprawled out as she did that jump. It kind of looked like a gazelle or something. Not the typical hop that we usually see on the inside of that apex jump. It looked like a leap, almost like a ballet or something.
Tallywhacker and Mad Medic. Mad Medic on the inside of the Sure Grip jammer line. Tallywhacker in the neon green on the outside.
Mad Medic takes a spill.
Gets tied up in her own pivot's legs.
Wow, all the Ole rollers falling out there. And look at this.
Opportunity grabbed by Port Tortured's Tallywhacker as she takes control. Mad Medic activates and is in pursuit.
Ole, though, looks like they may peel themselves away. Nope. Blasian Invasion gets knocked to the inside. I thought they were going to try and peel away and make a run. Blasian almost escapes the pack again. But that's going to do it for this jam.
No points for Ole and no points for Port Tortured. So Port Tortured not able to get any points there.
Well, despite their best efforts, Ole really trying hard to deploy the runaway strategy there, but Port Tortured's defense did not allow that to happen. And you hear a lot of talk about this runaway strategy. You can stop it. We just saw it right there.
Yep.
One smart cookie has control of this jam for Ole. You know, in the last game, we saw a lot of the men using the whip to get blockers in place to try and peel off a goat and slow down the pack. And you can slow down a runaway pack. It can be done.
I don't mind the critics. I don't mind the haters. I know they're out there. But here's the thing. If you're critical, if you don't like what you see, you're watching right now. So, whether it be a curiosity or whatever, but a lot of people haven't seen this, and a lot of people are very critical. And I was critical before I saw it. The thing about it is the USARS rules, when two teams are evenly matched, provides for a very dynamic, very exciting game with a lot of power and option on both sides of the skate, offensively and defensively. We have a team timeout called. Something, there's been a lot of great derby here, but there's also a lot of great derby elsewhere. And some of the best derby that we've ever seen was at the World Cup, the first ever World Cup. That was presented by Blood and Thunder. Well, they're going to do it again.
I'm so looking forward to that.
In 2014, next year, in Dallas, Texas, Blood and Thunder is hosting the next World Cup. A lot of teams are going to be there. A lot more than last time. Countries that weren't at the first one. And let me tell you, Mellow Joe, I know you can vouch for this. It was sold out the first time very quickly. They had turned people away every single day.
Yeah.
When we got there, there was a line extremely wide, extremely long, waiting for hours before the whole thing was even open.
For a chance at a ticket.
Right. And it was completely sold out. This one won't be any different. But you can get your ticket to the 2014 Roller Derby World Cup right now. And you, because of USARS, because you're watching on Derby News Network and part of this USARS National Championship experience, you can get a ticket for $25 off simply by going to rollerderbyworldcup.com and entering the coupon code USARS, USARS. Enter the coupon code USARS, and you can secure your place in roller derby history by being able to go to the World Cup in Dallas, Texas, for a $25 discount.
Yeah, you can't beat that, man.
Not at all.
It's a experience of a lifetime, the Roller Derby World Cup.
Jessica slides to the inside, but recovers very well. Mad Medic also getting pushed to the inside. Neither jammer with the advantage yet. Port Tortured once again showing that they can contain Ole's offense.
Jessica takes a spill in the back, or the front straightaway rather, but is quickly making her way through this Ole pack. Looks for a path on the inside. Not going to get it. Echo just wiggling around right in the way. Snickerbrudel sends Jessica to the ground. Mad Medic at the back of the pack. No one controls this jam yet. And as I say that, Jessica gets control and takes a spill.
Oh, low block now on
Echo.
Okay. Pivot in pursuit as Lindsay Loblo. Nope, that's Snickerbrudel. Comes out of the pack and has control.
Jessica did actually become active scorer.
Jessica attempted to call off the jam, but she had since lost control on that last pass.
I think that this was a massive mistake here. Points were awarded, but they were saying that Jessica was not active scorer. If she wasn't active scorer, then the pivot for Ole couldn't become active scorer and couldn't get points. And so now surely we're going to have an official timeout here. We're not. We're going to go on with it.
I think your prognostication is broken.
Maybe I missed something, but there was a reason why Port Tortured, whose active scorer was way ahead.
You were just thinking about that $25 discount using the USARS coupon code for the World Cup tickets.
Probably right. You're probably right. Once again, somebody out there in internet land is like, no, that's not what happened.
And the Ole cheers begin.
You want to be sure to stick around. After this game, we'll have an interview with one of Ole's skaters. And then, of course, we'll have the closing ceremonies, which you'll get to see the famous Seltzer Cup, as well as several other awards being given out.
It's so shiny.
It is shiny.
First time jamming in this game for Hannibal Lecter. Hannibal Lecter behind the line and pitching it quick and slam.
Hannibal Lecter looks for a path here, but she's getting bounced around like a ping pong ball at the moment now on the outside. Making some ground here.
Has control.
D-Bomb looks like she's going to make a break for it. And she's active now.
It looks like this will be the last jam of the game. The period clock has expired, so barring something crazy. Look at this! Whoa! Are you kidding me? D-Bomb with a leg whip. Oh! Hannibal Lecter being called on a low block.
Hannibal Lecter with a gift to their friends from Port Tortured. And D-Bomb is going to pick up some points here.
And they're just going to let her, another grand slam. Again, some great sportsmanship here by Ole as they have a very secure lead and only 10 seconds left in the game. But D-Bomb, who slides around in a whip! A whip from Little Tonka to help get another. Wow. I don't think I've ever seen that in Derby.
Yeah, what a great finish to it, too. That's your reward for sticking around to the end of that one.
Right.
What an ending.
To show Ole, who dominated, but appreciative of Port Tortured's ability to contain the offense and then helping out there at the end. That was absolutely fantastic.
I think that may be the greatest show of sportsmanship I've seen in this sport.
I know.
I just love that. That is so awesome.
that was a delight to see.
So it looks like we're about to get the official final score. Right now it stands unofficial, 26 for Port Tortured. Ole Rollers 163.
Ole, either way, Wilton is final now. Ole wins and is the 2013 now two-time USARS national champions, as they were last year's champions as well. congratulations to the Ole Rollers. We'll have an interview as well as the closing ceremonies in a moment. And Mello Joe, an uplifting ending, a heartwarming ending here, an extremely exciting and crazy men's championship that ended in Ole. So Ole takes the gold in both men's and women's.
Yeah, and the state of Washington has so much to be proud of right now.
Oh, they really do. They really do. Lots of smiles here. Oh, wow. Thank you so much to our officials, to the city of Tulsa and to the Tulsa Derby League for everything that they've been able to do. Thank you to our sponsors, Roller Bones, Sure Grip, Rydell, Derby Skins, and Fast Girl Skates for your support. To the video crews and the sound techs here at the Cox Business Center.
And there's just so many people to mention. I don't think we can ever get everyone and do it proper justice. But man, a lot of hands came together to make this happen, and everything ran really smoothly this weekend. So
to anyone we forgot, a big thank you as well, and thank you, of course, to USARS themselves for organizing this and putting this together. We've all had a lot of fun once again. Hopefully we'll get to meet once again next year. We are going to have the medal ceremony and then the Seltzer Cup, which I'm sure you'll see a little later. It actually sits right across from us on the other side of the ring. I say ring.
I've been announcing too much boxing lately.
I have.
So looks like, well, late night, it's been a pleasure to announce this game with you. And looks like Zipper Sparks is ready at trackside with Tannibal Lecter. Let's go over and talk to Tannibal.
Okay, and also we'll kind of touch on. All right, it's Zipper Spark right here with Tannibal Lecter. We're just going to go over a few things about what just happened here today. Hey! We're just going to talk to the whole Ole team right here.
Her breast.
Yeah,
touch her breast.
D&D. Yeah, love it. Anyways, all right. So, did you have any expectations to be the winner of this whole tournament from this weekend? Did you guys come thinking that?
Well, you really never know in roller derby. When we skated in 2009 for Wifteda, we were kind of the Cinderella story where no one knew who we were, and we came out and ended up winning. And same with USARS. It's like you never know who's going to join. There's a lot of strong leagues out there that are training. It's a new, rule set, so it's really hard to really judge on what's coming up because everyone skates different and what the outcome's going to be. So it's really hard to really judge that right now with it being so new.
Now, I don't know how long in the year but did you guys have it predetermined when the season started that you would be coming to this and training just for this?
Well, all year we've been playing. We played a little bit of Wifteda. We played a little bit of USARS. Last year we ended up winning the USARS, and USARS just put, together regionals and nationals right before. It was like we said we're going to skate USARS in August. We trained for a month. Then we had regionals. Then we had nationals in December, and this year we're like, all right, we'll train. And it's hard that we never knew what teams, and there's been multiple teams that have came together and joined the USARS since, and you never knew what they had to bring. So it's really hard to judge on what's coming. So all you can do is train hard and hope for the best.
Now I don't know if you know personally, but do you personally plan on coming back here with or without Ole if they decide not to do this next year?
I'm loyal to my team. I started with Ole as one of the original starters of Ole. And it's just one of those things that I stand by my team. This is actually my 5th year I've tried to retire, but I just can't seem to take my skates off. It never happens. I have a 1-year-old son. Last year I skated Wifteda Nationals with him 22 days old, and then I skated USARS Nationals with him 2.5 months old. And it's just one of those things that no matter what, I can't take my skates off. So I probably wouldn't skate for any other team but Ole, but that's where my loyalty lies, and that's where I'm at. So
yeah, I feel you there. So going into the off season after this, are you going to be training even harder to come back with more talent and more ability and strategy? Now that you guys have won this twice with the USARS, you're going to try to figure out how to make it a little bit different for you guys next time?
Absolutely. I mean, every year is a different year. You get new girls. We have some girls retiring who, just want to go on, try new things. Some people want to have kids, and we're all at that age where it's that time of season, and hopefully you try to do what I did. I got pregnant at the beginning of the year, and I was able to skate nationals. So it's like, okay, if you're gonna do it, you're gonna do it now. Let's hopefully you guys can come back for nationals next year. But you really never know what people's lives have in front of them. So we take a couple months off, and we never have ever done that. So it's gonna be nice. And so we just hope that we have the same team. If not, some transfers that come in. We have a junior skater, Lexi. She's amazing, and she's so young, and maybe there's other juniors that want to come up, and we're more than happy to take them underneath our wing and try to train them, because there's one day that I'm gonna get beat by a bunch of juniors, and that's what's gonna better the sport. So I'd much rather take that butt kicking from them than whatever.
Yeah.
So
theoretically, if there was a pill for immortality, would you take that just to stay in derby?
possibly. If I could take away the pain, I would skate until I was 90.
All right. Well, that is Tannibal Lecter, and I'm Zippers Mark. Thank you for tuning in and keeping up with us.